Thank you very much, all of you, for being here tonight. It is a really, really great pleasure. Me and Ben started GTeX really for one simple reason. And this reason was we knew that we had a lot of people in our network that were amazing speakers like Fergus. And we wanted to create a platform for them where they could share their message. And in the meanwhile, empower other people, like you are here tonight, in certain skills. This is why sometimes we talk about business development, sometimes we talk about personal development, and sometimes we talk also about spiritual development as well. And the name Growing Together Exponentially. Some of you might ask me, why growing together exponentially? Well, first of all, growth. Growth is really our most important value for me and Ben. And when we met the first time, me and Ben, we realized that we were not just looking for our own personal growth. It was like something that really an inner drive that we had to really help other people to grow as much as they can. This is why we work as coaches. And then together. Why together in your opinion? I ask you why in your opinion together.
Because you're excitable and you love to do all the talking and Ben likes to keep doing it.
That's the one. That's the one. Okay, what else? It's always better when we do it together. So sometimes I'd like to do all the talking, and then Ben is but it's pulling me up. And we realize that when we do things all together and helping and supporting each other, this is where our exponential growth happens. And then exponentially, because when we grow together. How are we growing? Exponentially. Exactly. So this is why we call ourselves.
What does exponentially mean? It's a stupid question, but I haven't looked at that.
It's a mathematical term.
Exactly.
It's like double, 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 double. Like if you think 1 nail, 2 nails, 4 nails, 8 nails, 16 nails, it goes
So it doubles itself every time.
yeah, very fast.
Is because 2 exponential 2 is like 2, like 2, 4, 8.
Is that like geometry? Grown at geometry?
I suppose so, but it's called exponential.
Now it's becoming an algebra session, but it's not. It's still a public speaking session, which is fantastic. And you know, like sometimes like a night can take like twists and turns that we don't expect, like end up doing mathematics, which is fantastic. And just a bit of practicalities before we start. You have our fantastic Noting Together Exponentially. We love to brand everything. So we decided to create Noting Together Exponentially for you, so you can take notes and take literally action steps that then once you get off that door, you can take with you for your exponential growth. Because you can take as much note as you can, but is your life going to improve? Because are your skills going to improve? No.
But of course, that's why we're here. Hello.
Yeah.
My time is valuable.
Yes. Also. And then is when the practice kicks in.
Yeah.
When you learn in the training room and then you put things into practice, that's where things really happen and change. And this is really what we stand for. This is why me and Dan created this platform following the idea of experiential trainings. Because you can retain really a little amount of information just if you take notes. But when you do it, that's really where the magic happens. It's really beautiful. And then you really grow and you improve your skills. Other practicality, there's the toilet, most of you know. So, on my left. And if you hear a siren, it's not definitely party time. That's called fire alarm. So we have the main exit, so we can go to the main exit as well. At the back of the room, you have some fantastic raw vegan food, gently sponsored by Leah. She's the founder of Raw Power. And what she does is helps people getting back fit and healthy through raw food nutrition. And she's an amazing raw food chef. She organized also the Raw Food Festival, where me and Ben were emceeing last summer, and it's been really a great, massive success. If you're interested about raw food, health and nutrition, she's the one really you can speak.
What's her name?
Leah. Leah.
Oh, Leah. Hi, Leah. See you later.
Here we are. Okay. And also, because I'm a bit of an environmentalist, if you don't mind, and I really love to preserve this planet. We have plastic cups at the back. What happened that sometimes in a lot of events, like you take one plastic cup, you take the other plastic cup, and then you just keep drinking different plastic cups. So this is why I really invite you to give me a pledge, to make me a pleasure, and write like the initial of your name in your plastic cup, so you can use just one. Is that okay for you?
Oh, no.
Am I asking too much?
So very environmental.
Thank you very much. Okay, and at the end of the evening, we're going to give you also some feedback forms, because for us this is the way we can grow. This is the way we can take all your experience and see how we can improve, so we can offer even a better service. Yeah, I believe that's it. About me, my name is Simone, as I told you, and I work as an inner confidence coach. I help people getting in touch with their life purpose, live their life with confidence, and create positive changes in the world. This is all I stand for. And
And you're a great guy.
yes, I
That's not
am.
all you said.
Yes, I am. Indeed, but thank you. And here is Ben.
I thought you forgot my name for a minute there. So yeah, my name's Ben and I work as a goal setting coach, and both of us also do a lot of youth work as well. So we're extremely passionate about personal development, and I'm so fortunate enough to literally live in personal development full time. I love it, and life is awesome. Live your dreams.
At the beginning. Now, well, keep Ben rather close. Yeah, it's really amazing. I remember when we met. We met at an NLP event. Does anyone know what NLP is?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So what happened? We just finished the seminar of Anthony Robbins. How many of you have been to Unleash the Power from Within?
Not been to it, but
Right. You've been twice. So some of you know what I'm talking about. You had with like 6,000 people, like between 4 and 6,000 people, all buzzing of energies, buzzing of energy all the time, and it's really like personal development at a really exponential level. And what happened is that for a week or a month, you really live with this feeling inside of everything is possible, everything is achievable, because you're really feeling so much into that energy. And that's where the place where we met. So we met at this event, me and Ben, and we were like, "You've been to UPW?" "Yes, I've been to UPW." "Yeah, high five." Great. And so we immediately found the connection between each other. It was like, wow. So we kept in touch, as most of the things happen, most of the time, and we always had like in the back of our mind, okay, one day maybe we can do like an event together. Why don't we create a little event together? And initially it was about beliefs, if I remember, how to repattern limiting beliefs. And then we kept like, just as most of the time happened. I don't know if some of you can relate with that, just like talking and talking and talking, but like never, didn't happen. Up until one day. What happened that day? I was looking for a venue for my events, because we really wanted to go to events, and actually it just came out from training in negotiation skills. So I was confident that I could find a room for free.
good on you, that's the spirit.
And what happened? I eventually found a room for free,
Yes!
no charge. So the first person, I don't know why, like something like really coming from within. First thing I did, imagine this is a phone, right, by the way. Okay, so I took the phone, this is the number, and that's Ben. "Hello Ben, I found a venue, what we can do?" And literally like in a couple of months, from starting from nothing, we decided to create what now is GTeX. And this is our little baby that we really care about. So without further ado, as you know, as you can see, I love to speak a lot. So now is
Yes.
How long have you been together?
Exponential.
Yes. No, I'm curious. Come
How
on.
long have you been together?
You should remember this. It's an anniversary.
I think I met you the first time when, it's like 3-4 months together. No, July.
Last year.
Okay. So no, that's weird because sometimes people think that we are rhetoric partners, and they ask if we are together. So it's like, no, we are not. We are not. We are just business partner and great friends, just to solve all your questions on this, if you have it. So now I want to introduce you to the best speaker of the night. You might have met him before. I'm sure you did. And is a person that really lives his message on a daily basis. And talking about communication, I actually had the honor to share a webinar with that person. And we were doing a webinar about empowering parents with their communication skills for young people. And what happened is that I was so captured by that voice that really I couldn't just do anything else than listen. And today we are talking about voice. How can we use our voice? And I think that there is no better person to introduce here on the stage than Ben Shorter. This is a big show.
The thing is, communication is pretty much everything. Like how we communicate to someone else. It can really dictate our life, our successes and our failures. And I'm sure Fergus would agree with me on this, in the sense that I got into public speaking to learn how to speak in front of audiences. But what I found was it helped me speak to one-to-one people, helped me in party situations and group situations. Communication is so important. It's so important to develop our communication skills. And over the last 10 years, I've learned a lot about communicating effectively and communicating ineffectively. I have changed drastically. And that's my point. Communication is a behaviour. Sometimes we get locked into how we communicate. And you often see this with youth groups. I communicate in this way, it's me. But the fact is, communication is a very small part of us. Our identity, our core, is far more than how we communicate. And this is something that I talk to teenagers about a lot. Because when I was 15, I did not speak like this. I'm from a place called Chatham, which, in Kent.
Oh, yes.
And it took me a long time to pronounce it Chatham, not, I'm from Chatham, mate. You right?
In it.
In it. What are you saying? And this literally was how I communicated for a while. I say for a while, for years, teenage years. My communication was pretty much in it, followed by loads of different swear words, followed by in it again. And people tended to understand what I was saying.
From your body language.
Exactly. And that's what I've learned about communication. It's so important. We can adapt our communication to any audience. How I speak to teenagers is very different to how I speak to executives. Because for me, the message is important. And learning how to communicate effectively is such a core skill. If you learn how to communicate with every different type of person within society, then that's it. You can build rapport and relationships with anyone. That's sometimes my argument against politicians. They speak in a very dogmatic way. We're very much like this, and stern and wearing our suits. And even I struggle to relate to that. And then you have people that would say they're experts. I could do my speech and literally talk about linguistic programming, this communication model and that communication model. And most of the time, even if I was listening to that, most of it would go over my head. Communication is really about sharing who you are, your core message, to the audience, and making sure that it is communicated effectively, in the sense that they can understand what you're saying. And this is where I've changed in terms of communication. And this is why I'm so honoured to have Fergus here today. Because learning how to communicate can really change your life. In the sense that, as I'm sure you can guess, my communication has changed so much. I've learnt to enunciate stuff properly. My dad would have said to me, Ben, you're mumbling all the time. I was like, what are you saying? And, you know, I'm not. But that was the thing. We can change our communication, we can adapt it, we can learn to new ways. And the reason I wanted to speak about this is because of something I saw recently, criticism of communication training. Someone said to me, but Ben, I just want to communicate the way I communicate because it's who I am. But if that isn't getting you the results that you want, because communication isn't who you are. Who you are is far more than the words that you say. It's the actions that you take. It's your core beliefs, your core values. It's your purpose. Communication is just words at the end of the day. So when they said to me, I don't want any communication training because I just want to be me, I was really thinking, that's not what it's about. I didn't do NLP to manipulate people. But what I did it for was so that I could communicate with everyone, to share my message in the most effective way for them to feel empowered. So that's what I really want you to bear in mind when you're looking at how you communicate. Is what you're saying going to get you the results that you want it to be? Is what you're saying understandable from the person listening to you? So that is my very short speech on communication. And the reason I wanted to say that is just because I'm blessed to have Fergus here. Me and Simone are very blessed to have Fergus here. And picking up all these communication tips can literally take your life to wherever you want it. Thank you so much. And I'll let Simone speak again because he's aching for it.
I got a really sick set.
It's almost 8 o'clock now, so it's almost time for a break because I realized that I've been speaking a bit too long at the beginning. So as I often do, and there is a learning for everyone, everywhere, isn't it? So what I really invite you to think, as Ben was saying, is the way you're communicating with other people empowering you in getting closer to the outcome that you want? Or maybe there is just this distance that you might not be aware of, like you're mumbling on the tongue, no. Or you're saying words that maybe are not really coherent with the message that you would really like to communicate. And communication, as we know, is really a fine art. And it takes time, it takes practice, but also it's really fun. Because you can experience different tools and techniques, like Fergus is going definitely to teach you tonight, to really improve this great skill that can improve your life, as we used to say, on a really exponential level. That's the word! That's the word!
Taking it up.
Oh yeah! Bring it on! And there is one little story that I want to share before we just have a break and then we can have some food and connect with each other even on a deeper level before Fergus coming on board. And this is the story of my friend Gabriele. Gabriele is an Italian guy, and we were working together as youth coaches in the NCS. The NCS is called the National Citizen Service. And what happened? It is a leadership program for young people, really designed to bring them from a place of separation, bringing them, getting them all together, and then getting them to do a social action, to create a social action, to make a positive impact in their community. It's amazing. It's an amazing program. Me and Ben were coaches there as well. And what happened? We do all sorts of activities, like rock climbing. We do canoeing. Then we did orienteering as well. It was really, really funny and really, really entertaining. But what happened to Gabriele? Gabriele at that moment was really struggling with rock climbing. Imagine this. It's freezing cold. You're climbing a solid, naked rock. And you almost cannot feel your hand and your feet anymore. How cold is that? Can you imagine? I don't know if you ever experienced it. And you're there. And you set yourself that you want to reach to the top. That's where he was. So he was climbing, and climbing, and climbing. He felt that pain in his hands, but he kept climbing. And what happened is that he had just the top, maybe one little finger away, and he couldn't reach. But he was determined. So what he did, he allowed himself to be held by the instructor that pulling the rope made him do the last step. And there he was. You imagine that feeling of joy and happiness of Gabriele, just touching that top, while before he wasn't here, with all these challenges. And where is the lesson in that?
Sometimes you need support to get to where you want to bring it up.
Yes,
You don't want to Yeah.
exactly. Sometimes life can throw us challenges that we really never expect to have. And sometimes it's really difficult to go through them by ourselves. And sometimes this is just the person or the amount of the people that are around you that can give you the last pull for your success. This is why me and Ben have created a mastermind group, because we want to create an environment where we can all help each other. So if you are interested about the mastermind group and you want to know a bit more about that, please come and talk to us. We'll give you all the information that you need. But now is a break time. It's been fantastic, guys. Give yourself a round of applause and we'll come back in 10 minutes.
Fergus was a child actor, as he likes to say, recovered now, ex-Royal Shakespeare Company, and has been training executives in how to speak well for the last 18 years in terms of that communication at board level. So it is our absolute pleasure to introduce Mr. Fergus Mclelland.
My idea is that I do nothing. Okay. You all work hard, and I give you ways to do it. How many of us here can drive a car? Okay, that's most of them. How many of us here can ride a bicycle? Okay. How many of us here can talk and walk? Who taught us? We did, exactly. Now there are things to do with communication whereby we taught ourselves to speak in the right way for mummy and daddy when we were small. We learn in 3 periods. I might as well write it on the board actually. Get really posh. I don't know why that's there, because I'm going to write on paper. Right, okay. There are 3 periods of learning, right? The first period is imprint, which is the first 7 years. The second period is modelling, which is the next 7 years. And then the third period is socialising. Okay. Now, the reason I'm talking about those, which Christopher Howard talks about rightly, is that the imprint period is when you learn to speak from your family, close relatives, close friends for the first 7 years. And you learn a great deal because your neuronal pathways when you're born virtually don't exist. Oh, I'll tell you something about that. There's a thing that used to be called the obstetric conundrum. Why are human babies born at 9 months so helpless? Because chimpanzee babies come out a bit later, so literally human babies, they said, should come out at 21 months. And they said, well, it's because the woman has to dilate by 10 centimetres And the baby's head is 9 centimetres, so that's why the baby has to come out at 9 months, not 21.
Can you imagine? Gosh, it's for mum.
That's what they said. They always said that it was because of the physical size of the baby. Because a chimp comes out with hair, and it can do lots of things very quickly. Whereas a human baby can't even see properly, it's completely helpless for a long time. Now that, 100, 200,000 years ago, that's a problem. However, if you drop a baby downstairs, they usually survive without any injuries, strangely enough. They roll. And then recently, only very recently, they worked out that the reason a baby is born at 9 months is because it's got so much more learning to do than any other animal on the planet, including chimps, our nearest relatives, that it has to be outside the womb and learn from the people around it and develop its neuronal pathways because it has none. So that's why babies are born at 9 months, not 21. But the teachers said for like 100 years, it should really be 21 months, but the head would be too big. No, they were just wrong. It took them all that time to work it out. So a lot of what you're taught by teachers is wrong. And it's the same when it comes to communications. It is just wrong. And another thing, which I've often said in speeches, if you think, and Tony Robbins says this rightly as well, let's say you've got a professor, age 55 or 60, who's teaching you at university. When did they learn this stuff? 30 years ago.
Probably.
From someone who learned it 30 years before. So your duty, if you like, when it comes to communications and when it comes to anything like, is teach yourself right now the latest stuff. Because the latest stuff is great. I've got loads of books about communications because I've got most of them. And I read them all the time because it's my obsession, psychology and communications. Right, so 7 years, 7 years, 7 years. This is when you learn to speak from your parents, like your parents, okay? The sounds that work for your parents. How big is a baby's larynx? Well, let's say it's that big. How big's an adult's larynx? About that big.
Big, yes.
Okay. So the baby learns to talk in a copy of mummy or daddy's voice that works for mummy and daddy. Okay? And when you're a small child, let's say you're 6 or 7, when you were naughty and daddy or mummy was telling you off, what happened to your voice? Did it go higher or lower? Higher. What about when you wanted a special present from mummy or daddy? Did your voice go higher or lower? Higher. So, every time a child feels stress, because it wants something or because it's frightened, the voice goes higher. Which is why a lot of people, when they get up to speak, they put their chin up and they talk like, hello, I'm really happy to be giving you a speech tonight. It's awful. And I'll tell you why it's awful later. Right, so we imprint. We do what works for mummy and daddy and auntie and uncle and brothers and sisters at the age of 7. Okay. Now this one is specifically for women as well. It's coming up, there's going to be a hit here. Right, modelling, you get a friend at school who you think is really cool. She's got great hair. Okay, so you do your hair like her up to the age of 14. You dress like her, you walk like her. Right. Then you go to uni or your first job, and you have a whole load of people that you've got to copy. Right, so you copy bits of all those other people. Now you've reached the age of 21. That's when most of your learning in life is over. You ain't got time to learn much more, because you've got to work now, you've got to do things. You've got to operate all the time. Now imagine, ladies, dressing like you did at the age of 7 to impress mummy and daddy. Would you do that now?
Of course, why not?
Well, you would. You
99.
put your baby doll on, I'd have you up those stairs,
Yeah,
mate.
of course.
Right.
Big girls, why not?
Yeah.
And put my pouch on and my lollipop.
You'd be arrested as soon as you got out of the building. You think, well, we know what she does for a living. Anyway, the thing is, you change.
I have a great mentor as well.
Right, so you change, you do your modelling, you do your socialising, and then it's stuck. Right. But you don't wear the clothes you wore when you were 15, or 20, or 7. But you do, I'm afraid, still have the voice you had when you were 7, 12, and 21. Because you haven't thought to train it. That's the danger. Because that means, if you were doing a bit of Shakespeare now, which being ex-Royal Shakespeare Company I can do, you would sound like a child doing Shakespeare. Okay, here's an example. Can you write with the other finger, the other hand?
Yes. Not
And-
as well. But
Not as well,
Not as
but it's a bit awkward, isn't it?
Right, pencil.
Yeah, exactly, because you're used to doing it a particular way. So you don't want to learn the new way because it hurts, it's uncomfortable. It's like, I mean, people do these things about how you put your hands, how you cross your arms, right? Or which hand you brush your teeth with. right? It's awkward, so we've learned lots of patterns with our communication. And we just stick with them because we haven't got time to learn. Now, there's something I want to mention right now. It's called psycho-cybernetics. Hyphenated, psycho-cybernetics. It's also the name of a book by Maxwell Maltz, written in 1964.
Could you put them on there, please?
Yes, I will.
Maxwell, what's his name?
M-A-L-T-Z. Right. Don't like that, Kevin, so I'm changing the colour now. Okay. Oh, that's a nice one. Psycho, Y-C-H-O, right, sorry. Cybernetics. By, you can find it easily on the internet. Now, I'll tell you why that's important to do with communications. Well, that's probably because he was German, darling.
I'm such a...
He might have been an American who'd been a German before, or his family, but yeah, Maltz. Maxwell Maltz. Maltz, okay. Now, what he was doing when he invented psycho-cybernetics, he gave it the name anyway, he was thinking, suddenly, that we have machines that can do incredible things which don't have a brain at all. But how does a torpedo hit a warship when it ain't got a brain? They didn't have computers in the 1940s, 50s, 60s. The reason that the torpedo was able to hit it is that when it's on course, let's say here's the battleship. I'm feeling inventive today. Right? And here's the torpedo coming up this way. Right? Suddenly the tide hits it that way. Now it's got guidance systems that think, oh, I'm off to the left. And so it adjusts its motors. Yeah? It adjusts and puts itself back on course. Backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. While it's on course, it doesn't change anything. Because it can't, it doesn't need to, it's on course. And it's the same when a rocket goes to the moon, they have to do mid-course corrections all the way. What Maltz worked out is that we're doing that all the time. That's why because that's cybernetics, yeah? That's why he invented psycho-cybernetics, or discovered it. That we are doing thousands of course corrections all the time, all day long. Because we have to, we don't have time to understand everything and do everything consciously. So we have loads and loads of systems that we build in over the years. Like voice going higher because it works for mummy and daddy when we're a child. Things like that. And like putting your chin up higher because you want to look sweet. That's not the way to speak, I promise you. Put your chin up. And so, Psycho-Cybernetics is a great book to get. Not written by me. It's not like one of my CDs, I'm not trying to sell you anything. It's a great book though. Bit heavy the second half, warning. But the first half of it you go, oh my God. Because that explains why, okay.
What do you mean by a bit heavy?
It gets mega technical.
Oh,
Mega technical science. I read 3/4 of it and I put it down, so yeah, I'll read the rest later. But the first 3/4 is really good, and the rest is lots of bibliographies of lots of other books that he's studied, lots of scientific research papers to prove that he's right, which he is. I'll put next there 7 times, right? Research was done, this will all come together, don't we? Research was done into why we learn a bad thing 7 times more strongly than a good thing. They got some football fans to watch a film of one of their favourite teams who hadn't seen the results of the film already. They didn't know the results of the match. And they wired them up with all sorts of sensors. And they found that the adrenaline, cortisol, noradrenaline, various polypeptides were 7 times stronger when their team missed a goal or got a goal against them than they were when they won a goal. That's because of this effect that makes us operational. Because we protect ourselves from bad, so we learn very strongly from bad experiences. So, if a child gets told off, and sit down, be quiet, children are supposed to be quiet, should be seen and not heard, then years later, when you're under stress and you want to communicate with someone, you've got this to climb over. This massive training that you've had from... I was lucky. I was one of the few that had parents that both wanted me to speak up for myself. That was good. I was on the radio at the age of 4. Yes.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it's so rare. It's so rare, believe me.
That's so cute.
My father was an actor and a playwright, He was in the original cast of The Mousetrap for 2.5 years. Lord Attenborough was his understudy, and my cousin is Dame Judi Dench. So,
really?
yeah.
I'd love to meet her one day.
she's as gorgeous as everybody says.
I'd love to meet her.
She really is a lovely person and a great actor. And I worked, actually, funny enough, I worked in Stratford with her brother, Geoffrey, and I was acting before she was. While she was still at drama school, I was already on stage.
Oh, God.
My father got himself, because he was a radio reporter, as well as an actor and playwright. He was on the Today programme, which is in the morning on
And
the home
playwright.
service. Yeah, he wrote, I can't remember how many plays, he wrote several plays. Anyway, so I had both parents writing, both parents talking non-stop, expecting me to speak up for myself all the time, and my brother to speak up for himself. My father then bought his own tape machine. He let us play with it. I was 4, right? So we got the tape machine, and it had a big button to go to start and stop. So we recorded a Christmas programme for the family, my brother and I, singing all sorts of songs. One of them was "And the Man, the Miller, and the Caterpillar," and all sorts of rubbish like that. I mean, it was really rubbish. We wish you a Merry Christmas and hear all the edits are doing. A Happy New Year from Miles and Fergus, Mclelland, right? He put it on the radio. They went nuts about it. So that's my first radio show in 1955. But I was so expected to speak that I couldn't help doing it. The reason I'm telling you this history stuff about me, it isn't to say I'm good. And, actually, I'll tell you how bad I am. Okay? I'll tell you how bad I am. When I was a 14-year-old big film star, met royalty, so on, while I was actually in the Royal Shakespeare Company, I got these fan letters from this boy. Right, I mean, I got thousands of fan letters. I'm not sneering at any of them, including him. But I got fan letters from this boy saying he wanted a picture of me. Best wishes, Fergus. Simply about. And he wrote again, he said, "Would you like to be in my first musical?" I said no to my father. Why? This handwritten thing from this 17-year-old boy at St Paul's, Westminster. Why would I want to be in a musical? I can't even sing. My father said, well, it might come out, it might happen. He said, I'm doing it with Cameron Maxwell. Would you like to be in my new musical? It's coming out in 6 months. I didn't even reply the second time. Can you guess what his name was? Who writes plays, musicals? Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
I've still got the letters.
What did you say in the letter?
And he asked me to be in his first musical that's coming out in 6 months.
Goodness.
I think it was Joseph's amazing Technicolor Raincoat.
Dreamcoat, yeah.
Dreamcoat.
He handpicked you.
Oh,
Yeah, because he'd seen me in films and he was inspired by it. So I said no. Right, so then the next thing I did, which was even better, right, Oliver was on at the time in the West End. And my father said, do you want to take on Oliver in the theatre? I said, no, I can't sing. He said, yeah, but they're going to make a film of it in a year or 2. And you could get the part of the film. I said, Dad, I can't sing. He said, you can take lessons. Doesn't matter. Get the part, learn to sing. I said, Dad, I don't want to. He said, okay, fair enough. Because he didn't push me. So I didn't do it. So a boy called Mark Lester did it. Okay? And played Oliver. I didn't. But the worst thing I only found out about a few weeks ago on a television programme about ghost singers.
Yeah.
All of his singing was done by a woman called Marnie Nixon.
oh,
So that's how clever I am. That's why you can't trust me at all. I was actually, because it's a friend of mine, Rod Sloan, who I've known for about 8 or 9 years. He said, Fergus, if you get up on stage and you do a presentation, say, well, I was a film star at the age of 11 or 12, and then I was in the Royal Shakespeare for a couple of years, so, listen to me, because he said, people will hate you. Tell them the truth. Tell them about the cock-ups. And when you're doing a speech, when you're actually connecting with people in a room, one of the best things you can, the only thing you've got to do, really, especially you, right? What have you got to be? What have you got
just
to
be
be?
me. Be the naked
You've
truth.
got to be
Yeah.
naked on
Yeah.
stage.
Be as you are.
You've just got to be yourself. Now, I've spoken to lots of you already, and Simone and Ben know me well. I'm talking now the same way I would to 1,000 people, and Simone saw me to about 50 people yesterday, or if I'm just talking to you one-to-one. It's always the same. You always get the same package. And I've been talking to you, I've been talking to you, I've been talking to you, I've been talking to you. There is no other way to do it. And I've seen so many people get up, and they start to do.
Do the
It's
peacock
speech.
thing.
Yeah, you can't.
can't.
You must not peacock it. You must just be Now it's scary. It's the hard. And I've got a friend I've written a book with, and I was saying to Ben earlier, assuming he's right, the GTeX, the exponential thing. I've written a book with a woman friend of mine. It's 60,000 words long. It's really good. We've had to rewrite it 2 or 3 times because we've got new stuff into it. But when you're working with someone else as a team, it's not like 2 people. It's like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's amazing. It only takes 2 people because you get to things from a different direction. And you just don't know what you're going to discover when you're doing it. That's what masterminding's like. That's what working with someone's like. It's very powerful. And it's the same with communication. Okay, so I'm going to prove to you, I'm going to do something with you now, which I did with the Managing Directors Board of Northern Rail when I went in on the end of their first day of a 2-day away day at Lakeside Hotel for the last 2 hours of the day, and they all just sat there like this. I thought, I am seriously in it right now. I am in serious trouble. I've got the Managing Director and all of her team, 18 of them round the table going, yeah, go on. You're going to train us? And the Commercial Director had already had me train her team. I said, okay, well, here's Fergus. Everybody on my team gave him either a 9 or a 10 out of 10, so no pressure, here's Fergus. Good. Right, they'd been using my projector all day, which I thought was really naughty. And they were having this very important away day, so I thought, okay, I'll do 2 exercises with them, which I want to do with you now. And you will need your pen and paper. And nobody shouts anything out, because it ruined it, because people have done a few times. I want to show you something about active listening, because as a speaker, your greatest tool is your ability to listen, literally, to yourself and to other people. You need to be able to hear exactly what's happening. And believe me, I'll get volunteers doing some Shakespeare later, and some good NLP tools will go in there. Okay, so I've got a few questions for you now. And the first one is a bit of maths, really, right? So you do have to listen carefully, because the answer is in the question. So I've given it away. The answer's in the question, right? Divide 40 by a half and add 15. Don't say it out loud. Divide 40 by a half and add 15. That's the first one. In I've got them written down because otherwise people say I'm cheating.
Can you just say that again, please?
Divide 40 by a half and add 15.
Okay.
Right. There's only one more sum to do. Okay. In Scotland, this is a legal question. Right? Now that might be a lie, I might just be tricking you. In Scotland, is it legal to marry your widow's sister? Just write down your answer. Is it legal in Scotland to marry your widow's sister? Remember, I did this to the board of the biggest rail company in the country. Okay? Which is correct? The next one. Which is correct? 9 and 5 is 13, or 9 and 5 are 13. Which one of those two is correct? Okay? That's a nice simple one. You like the next one? If it takes 2 men 2 days to dig 2 holes, how long does it take 1 man to dig half a hole? Maybe a bit complicated. I'll give you a bit of time to think about it. You know this when you work that out. Okay. If it takes 2 men 2 days to dig 2 holes, how long does it take 1 man to dig half a hole? No blurting it out. It happened once in school. Kids shouted out some of the answers. Okay. Now, here's a biblical one for you. I'm sure you'll all know the answer though. How many animals of each species did Moses take onto the ark? Okay. How many animals of each species did Moses take onto the ark? Don't say it aloud. Animals of each species did Moses take onto the ark? Okay? And next one. The QE2 has 26 coats of paints and lacquers and varnishes put onto it every time it gets repainted. Big ship, needs a lot of paint. Which coat of paint goes on the first?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. the QE2, the Queen Elizabeth II, has 26 coats of paint put on every time it's painted. Right? 26 layers put on of lacquers, undercoats, blah, 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 blah. Which coat of paint goes on first? Okay.
Do you know Jeff Hopkins?
What? Let's say anything. Right. Okay, the next one, I'll get a volunteer to do aloud. That makes it easier for everyone. Okay? Who's going to be my volunteer to do something aloud? Okay? You've got a mischievous look. Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it? Can you count, please, for me?
I can't count.
Can anyone count?
Oh no.
You do, okay. Can you please count from 10 to 1 backwards?
Yeah.
Well, go on then, out loud. Yeah,
Now?
yeah? Out loud.
9, 8,
No.
7, 6,
No.
5,
No,
4.
no, no. Count from 10 to 1 backwards.
Including 10.
From
Okay.
10.
10, 9,
No.
8,
No.
7.
No. Listen to the question. Count from 10 to 1 backwards. Do the count out loud.
1 to 10.
Oh, I know. I know
10
it.
to 1.
What?
10 from 10 to 1.
Backwards.
I
Backwards.
know.
10,
1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5, 6.
Yeah.
Nice.
What did you say?
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10 to 1 backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
10.
It's a trick
10 to
question.
1 backwards.
It's a trick
This
question.
is active listening for
Yeah.
speaking. Okay. Now the reason these are important actually, and this is why these work for the board of the train company, they realised that on the phone or in groups or with an audience, somebody asks a question or something, you really have to listen carefully to hear what they mean and what they think. There's a cartoon which I haven't got the rights to use. I could use it here, but I haven't actually got it. I want to put it in my book. And it's a beautiful picture. There's a rhino doing paintings in the jungle. Okay? So you've got painting number 1, right? With a bowl of flowers, right? Painting number 2 is a landscape. Painting number 3 is a river. What's that in the middle?
What's the first picture?
Oh, no, yeah.
That's a bunch of flowers.
Okay.
That's a landscape of hills,
Okay.
and that's a river. What's this thing in ornament?
The rhinos.
The
The
rhino's
rhino's
horn.
horn. It's called filtering.
Yeah, the rhino's
It's always in your way
Yeah.
when you're filtering things, when you're not really listening actively. Okay, do you want to answer some questions now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard of this.
Okay, first question. Who's got the answer to number 1?
35 or 19.
I got 45.
Yes, 95. Because it's divided by a half.
8.
It's divided by a half.
Oh.
40 is
That's it.
divided by a half, right?
By a half.
How many halves are
Not
in
by
40?
2.
80.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then you have 15, 95. And in Scotland, who knows if they can marry their widowed sister or not?
It's impossible.
It is impossible, because you're dead. Right. Next one, 9 and 5 is 13, 9 and 5 are 13. No, no,
That's what
yeah, right.
It's not.
So it's neither of those.
Yeah.
It's 14. Yeah.
9 and
9 and 5 is 14. It's not 13. And, okay, 2 men, 2 days, 2 holes, 1 man. How long does it take him to do half a hole?
I'm half of it.
Okay. Imagine, right, imagine that is the ground. Imagine this is your shovel, right? That's the ground. Can you show them how to dig half a hole? No, you can't. Oh, it's a hole! Instantly, it's a hole. There's no such thing as a half hole. Okay, I know I'm being cruel. You can't make half a hole. Okay, come on now, this one's easy for everyone who knows the Bible. Yes, sir.
It was
No.
Noah.
No,
it was
Noah.
Noah.
Moses.
It wasn't Moses.
Oh gosh, you need to go back.
Oh.
Back to Bible school.
Oh, what did you say?
Did you say?
I said Moses.
Oh,
That's
really?
why I wanted written.
Oh,
Moses didn't. Moses
It
was
was
the one
not
that
Moses, it was
separated
Noah.
the water.
And he was not on the ark.
Yes, with the Ten Commandments.
Right. So you didn't do that very well, did you? Tell you what, I was doing this in a school. I did 5 different classes during the course of the day, an hour and a quarter each. And there was one boy who got every single one of them right.
Genius of a kid.
And I said to the teacher, wow, that boy in the last class, he was good. She said, yeah, he was 14. She said he's going to Cambridge next month. I said, what? She said he's already qualified. His brother's already there.
Oh.
That would be why then, wouldn't it?
Was that
But
30 years ago?
yeah, that was at Tadcaster Grammar about 6 years ago. This boy in the last class just and what can I say? Oh yeah, and one of them, when I was doing the Bible one, I thought you would have blurted out. Somebody said, "It wasn't Moses, it was Noah." I said, "Oh, thanks." I've got 38 of them sitting there writing the answers, and he shouted out, "It was Noah, not Moses." I said, "Thank you." Ruined it. But the reason I did those, okay, here's your next. Yes.
What about the QED?
Oh, the QE. Okay, Queen Elizabeth's second. Oh, come on, that one's really easy.
That's the first code.
What was the first code?
The base code.
What coat of paint goes on the
The
first?
first one.
The second coat.
It's put
What
on
coat of paint goes
first.
on the first coat?
And
The
you
second
said
coat.
on the first.
I did.
Ah.
I did. That's why I put it
So
way
you
down.
clean up my ears tonight.
The one that goes
On the
on.
first.
come on.
You see,
Can't do that to me,
it
mate.
makes a difference.
Yeah, my IQ is low.
No, these are quite hard actually. Okay, the last one that I did, because that got them going. That really got them going. But we've got these 18 very senior executives. So I thought, right, I'm going to really crush you now. I did one I've done with kids in school. Now, some people get it wrong. Well, there is no wrong, but they don't always get the right answer, and I'll explain why in a moment. After you've done this next little exercise. Are you having fun, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Are you learning anything, do you think?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
just entertained. Hopefully you are learning stuff and you're writing it down, you're thinking, oh yeah, that means something. Okay. I want you to, I'm even going to write it up for you. I'm going to write it on here so it's nice and easy for you.
What do you mean by naked? Because
Naked.
because
You've got to be raw you.
raw you.
Yeah, you've got to risk everything.
Is that
When
why?
you're up there.
Have you ever trained the trainer? I think they have.
Yeah.
They go naked on stage.
Oh, do they? Literally? Oh, no.
No,
No,
not
I wouldn't go that
stripping.
naked.
That's
That's
called
stripping.
That's good.
That's called letting it all hang out.
That's called pole dancing. Not all poles, some of them are Russian. Right.
That's called make the kids make
Quite
sure
a
the
good one,
kids
that.
are dead.
I like that one. Some of them are Russians. You hear everybody? Some of them are Russian.
Oh, dear.
Okay, your next quick one, and then I'm going to get some of you doing some Shakespeare. I'm going to show you some really powerful secrets for all of you that you can use all the time with your voices. Because we're getting to the voice bit next. I just want to do another one with you. So, I want you to take a whole number, right, from 2 to 9, okay? So it's from 2 to 9. I want you to think of one in your head. A complete number from 2 to 9. Now I want you to multiply it by 9, okay? That number. Your whole number, you multiply it by 9. Right?
Can I write it down or do I have to?
Yeah, you can write it down if you want. Yeah. Whole number between 2 and 9, multiply it by 9. Okay? Now look at your number, because I can't see it, can you? And,
I know this.
yeah, oh, well, don't give it away then. I want you to think of that you've now got to obviously have a double-digit number, aren't you? Yeah, okay. I want you to add those digits together. Right? So let's say, I mean, I don't know, but if it was 18, for example, if you'd done 2, you did 1 plus 8 equals 9, okay? For example. Remember, I don't know your numbers, so whatever the multiple is, you got your multiple?
Yeah.
Good. Right, now I want you to take away 5 from your number. Take away 5. Okay? Just take away 5.
From the number after.
From the one after you've added 2 together. Take away 5.
Into the
What I was doing, there were several things. Actually, it's great fun, but that was serious training.
Can I sit down?
Of course you can. That was brilliant. Well done. You were even good at the start. Now, the reason that works, has everybody here, well, has anybody here, seen the King's Speech?
Oh,
The
yes.
King's Speech.
The film.
Awesome.
Yeah. the film?
Awesome.
Okay.
Great actor he's.
Which
Colin
one?
Firth.
Oh, Colin.
He's amazing.
I'll tell you something about him in a minute.
Oh yeah.
Nothing bad.
Yeah.
No, I'll quickly
Awesome.
tell you this because it's actually important. I had a client once who saw him in Pride and Prejudice with his wet trousers getting out of the lake and went, ugh, ugh, and fell madly in love with him. Right? Then she saw him in another film, she hated him, couldn't stand him anymore. Didn't know why. She didn't know why.
Bridget Jones's Diary.
No, it wasn't that, it was some other one. I'll tell you what it was about anyway in a little while. And she couldn't understand it until I taught her stuff about psychoacoustics and how the sound of our voice affects people a lot. And she said, yeah, in this other film, he played a gay, cockney drug dealer. That was it.
So not
All the
like
magic
his
had gone.
character.
I know. But he played a gay, cockney drug dealer. At which point, she couldn't fancy him anymore. He was gone.
Wow.
Because he'd done this different voice. That was it. He destroyed the magic. That's how important the sound of your voice is when you're doing
So
a speech.
true.
Okay?
So true.
Okay. So, in the King's speech, Logue taught the King. In fact, he started teaching him in 1927 and was teaching him right up to 1952. So he wasn't a super fast man at training him.
Was it really that long?
It was that long.
Oh my
And
goodness.
also, he taught Churchill.
As well, really?
Say
Now,
that again.
Oh,
he
that
taught
is
Churchill as well, Logue.
amazing.
Who did?
Logue, the
Logue,
Australian actor.
Yeah. That is
L-O-G-U-E,
amazing.
yeah. Now the funny thing is, he was the first generation of actors who had become speech therapists. The next generation was my father. The next generation was Cicely Berry. Cicely Berry taught me.
Oh, wow.
And she's the queen of voice coaches,
So you're the
basically.
fourth generation.
I suppose I am, yeah. But I use a lot of the tools she taught me, and others which I've invented myself. If I had my computer and everything, yeah, I'd have people using headphones and microphones. You'd be amazed how much you can learn. Because when I train people to one-to-one, I have to get them to learn a lot fast because they're paying me a lot of money. And they've got to work hard, otherwise they wouldn't want to pay me the money.
Yeah.
So I really put them, so what I'm giving you is a little showcase of the type of thing you can do and what you can change. Now those exercises that you did just now,
Yeah.
anyone can do with something you're going to read, with a newspaper article, or a bit of Shakespeare or whatever. Yet Churchill, if you listen to Churchill's speeches, who will fight them on the beaches, in the air,
In the air, yes.
and on the ground.
And on the ground,
And the king
yes.
says, and I now name this ship Arethusa. It's the same.
Yeah.
It was the way they got rid of the stutter. Now, what you were doing just now works because of the same reason. I invented this with my friend Anita. Right, your right temporal lobe, right, and your left temporal lobe do different things. The left one does structure, right, and language happening, right, there. The right one is very connected to the amygdala, underneath in your unconscious mind, and it's all to do with passion. So, someone with stutter can sing, can pray, can swear, can read poetry aloud. Because that side of the brain is to do with passion, not language. But when you use the two together, it's devastating, when you know how to use both. So what I got you to do, when you were whispering, and when you were humming, and when you were blah blah blahing, and when you were doing happy birthday, you were breaking this language structure rubbish, and you're going deep into what your conscious right brain and your amygdala knows the right way to say it. Because you know the right, everybody in this room knows the right way to say it aloud, even though you're not an actor or an actress.
Yeah.
Because Shakespeare wrote that down. He wrote sound into our words. Nobody had done that before. He'd actually written sound into people's words. If you read John Barton's Playing Shakespeare book, and funny thing is, he directed me when I was in Stratford, and when I was in the Aldrich. John Barton wrote a book all about playing Shakespeare, based on a TV series he'd done on BBC Two many years ago. And he said that what Shakespeare did, he was the first person ever, unlike Marlowe and the others, would be like, "Good morning, good barkeeper. Good morning, sir. Would you like a cup of tea? Yes, please, sir, I will." And he wrote down, "Good morning, good barkeeper." Yeah, hello. He actually put it into the sounds of people's voices. So he got the sound into the choice of words and the way he structured the sentences. So that the actor could pick up the script, because they only had their own part, by the way, the actors. They didn't have the whole script, they just had their own words, and with the cues. Yeah, literally, they had a page like that,
Yeah.
with all their lines, with the cue word from the previous person. That's what they
Well,
learned from.
Howard, he was such a genius.
He was fantastic.
It's
And
taken
he did
years
write
to
the
actually
plays himself.
appreciate it.
Yeah. And the blah-de-blah one, I actually only, the blah-de-blah exercise, I thought that fit. Because what he did, he wrote in iambic pentameter, which doesn't mean it rhymes, but it means it's got a tonal pattern. Now, if you listen to me speaking, I speak in the way that Shakespeare does. I use exactly those tonal patterns, which is not surprising because I train people to speak all the time, and I was Royal Shakespeare Company. So do people like Alan Rickman. So does my cousin Judy. They all use the same vocal patterns when they're speaking modern English.
Yes, they do.
That is the powerful way to speak.
Yes.
Anchored in by Shakespeare and copied in the James Bible. So if you want to read really well, read Shakespeare aloud and read the James Bible aloud. Because that was deliberately based on Shakespeare's style of writing from 80 years before to
Yes.
make it really sound good.
James who again?
The James the First Bible,
Oh yeah.
Holy Bible. Just that version. Don't bother with the other versions, they're
James
terrible.
the first Bible.
The James the First Bible, yeah. It's the authorised version. King James's authorised version of the Bible. Because that will give you the rhythms of sound to use. Because when James had it done, James was a creep in lots of ways, but he came down from Scotland and there was a sort of fight between two branches of the church. There were very strict ones and there were not so strict ones. He said, oh, I'll get them to work together. So he got the two groups. He said, you two get together and rewrite the Bible. Do a modern English version that we'll all be happy with, because there were about 10 different versions of the Bible. Okay, you lot and you lot get together and do it. So 8 bishops, 4 from each one, got 8 men each, and went off and took all the old bits of Aramaic and Hebrew and Greek, and they practiced writing new translations, and they think, yeah, that doesn't sound as good as it could. Let's change a few of the words. Keep the meaning, but change a few of the words to make it sound more rhythmic and more powerful, so that people in church who can't read go, oh my God, what a fantastic story. And so they did that. And if you think one of the best bits is the opening of John, Rule of 3, which is one of the most well-known things about speaking, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So it goes 3, 3, 3, 3, 2. Because nothing comes after God. And so I can teach anyone to do it. That's the pattern is.
Not speaking, yeah?
Yeah. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Rhythm.
3,
And-
3, 2, 1.
It's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Just have that little
Fergus,
pause.
what do you think? Can we practice it
If you know the words, yeah.
It's,
to have a
half
feeling about
note,
it? To have a feeling of
Half
it?
a note and then a full note in music.
You're a singer as well, aren't you?
Is that
I'm
what you
hearing
teach?
them sing the notes.
Well, listen.
in rhythm.
Not in this, but listen.
I like
Another
that.
piece I've got here. Listen for the 3s in this. Listen for the 3s in this. Once more unto the breach, dear friends, once more, or close the wall up with our English dead. In peace there is nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, then summon up the spirit and so on. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Stiffen the sinews. Disguise fair nature with hard-favoured rage. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's not all 1, 2, 3, but you listen to it as well. Then lend the eye a terrible aspect. Let it pry through the portage of the head like the brass cannon. Let the brow o'erwhelm it as fearfully as doth a galled rock o'er hanging jutty his confounded base, swirled with the wild and wasteful ocean. Now set the teeth and stretch the nostril wide, hold the breath and bend up every spirit to his full height. On, you noblest English, whose blood is fet from fathers of warproof, fathers that, like so many Alexanders, have in these parts from morn till even fought, and sheathed their swords for lack of argument.
It's got rhythm.
On
definitely.
and on and on and on. It's there all the way through. It's that rhythm of 3. It's not every single thing, but that's basically the iambic pentameter. Watching a programme about Shakespeare the other day, as I said, I'm obsessed with this stuff. And there were some really good classical actors, including Ian Mclelland, who's a distant relative. And what they actually did was the blah-de-blah things. Oh yeah, that'll work. To get the rhythm. Blah 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 blah.
So who the blood?
And you get the rhythm. You can't help it, you get the rhythm. Because you're not being put off by the words. And when I was there, we used to, when we were rehearsing, we'd say something like, "Once more unto the breach, dear friends," and you, Fred. Or close the wall up, and we put people's names in, and then we take them out again at the end. It's to get the rhythm, well, to make it naturalistic when we're recording.
Sounds like
learning.
Blackadder as well.
Yeah, yeah. And if I said to you, I could say, "Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention, a kingdom for a stage, princes to act and monarchs to behold the swelling scene." Or I could say, "Oh, I wish our company was doing better. We could have a lot more money coming in from other countries and even from our own staff." Same rhythms.
Tony Blair.
Tony Blair was
Tony Blair.
classic.
Classic. I totally agree. Tony
He
Blair
was classic,
was
man.
classic.
You just said
Gordon
He,
Glenn.
that rhythm, he was a classic.
The thing
Yeah,
is,
he just taught it. And like you said,
the thing
education, education, education.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was taught, he was trained.
Yeah, that's what he
the
did.
thing is,
Ed Miliband hasn't been trained except by me, I have to say.
Except
free.
by you.
Except by me, yeah. Afraid so.
Miliband is getting trained now.
Yeah, well, I gave him a bit of training, put it that way.
Oh, come on, he's been coached. I was watching the other day with no sound. I was like, reading you now.
Well, what happened, there was a special, and then I'm going to wrap up, actually, but there was a special event for Labour Party supporters and the press, and I'd already written saying, "Hey, I want to train them." Well, wouldn't I? Yeah, the money I'd get. So I was invited along to this by his press attaché, and he was literally standing here, and I was there, and Ed Balls was there at this event that they were doing. So I took loads of notes, and at the end they disappeared into another room, of course, which is typical, isn't it? But they were shaking my hand, both of them afterwards, and of course I'm talking all the way through and asking questions. "Well, Fergus, well," they're both saying a lot to me. So it was fun anyway. But what he was talking about, I can't remember what the topic was, but with this small group of press and like 15 members of the local community in Southwark, right, or up near the IMAX actually, he was really good. He was warm, he was friendly, so was Ed Balls. By the way, did you know Ed Balls got a bad stutter? No, you didn't, did you?
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
come
he's hiding
across
it, he's
like
hiding
that.
it. He's hiding it all the time,
It
but it
doesn't
is in
come
there.
across like
Because I was told it by the press attaché. It's
Mum's a
secret,
word.
it's a secret. Anyway, they went off to another room, and the press attaché came back, and I said, "Well, you know, you can tell him I'll work with him." He said, "My number, Fergus." "Yeah, phone me, definitely." So I phoned him a couple of days later, and he said, "Yeah, well, they're not sure, either of them, that they want the training at the moment." I said, "Well, do you want to hear my notes?" He went, "Oh, yeah." Because I said, because the speech he did to us was really good, and when he did it in the house that night, it was shit. Question time, it was just rubbish. It was exactly the same speech. And I said, "Okay, here's what he needs to change." And I went through 4 pages of notes. And the press attaché said, "Oh, thank you very much." I thought, "That's it. I'm going to land the client now." No, I didn't. But I saw him do a speech 2 days later, and he was doing every single thing I'd advised him.
Oh no, that's naughty.
And my friend just went, my
That's
friend Rod, he
naughty.
just took the whole lot
Oh,
for nothing.
oh.
Silly me.
Politicians for you.
Yeah, and bankers. Bankers, I'm
And
afraid.
make promises and then there you
I've,
go.
I've worked with the managing director, and I can't say which bank, but it is one of the big 4 banks.
Oh, I can imagine.
And I went in, imagine the money he's on. And I went in to give him his first training session. I booked him for 8 with his PA. I thought, "Oh, this is good," because a friend of mine had been teaching him leadership. So I went into training, booked him into the diary. Before I got there,
Was it Canary
he wrote me
Wharf
an email.
Road?
Yes,
Was it in that?
it was
That
Canary
exact
Wharf.
tower.
It was in
that
Canary
tower.
Wharf.
I know what you're talking
And
about.
so anyway, he phoned me up furious. "You put me in for 8 sessions." I said, "Yeah." "Well, I want to just try one first, free of charge."
Come on.
"Oh, come on, where he works?" I mean, "Yeah, okay,
I
fine."
mean, come on. Companies
So-
pay for it.
I went and I thought, "Oh, he's got the money."
Yeah.
And so I went in, and instead of training him in voice, he got me to help him write a speech for him for an hour and a half. And believe me, it ended up brilliant, because I'm really good at helping people to write their speeches. I mean, he was really, really good.
Wow.
And I thought, I've got him. He said, "Yeah, I'll use you 4 or 5 times a year, Fergus, thank you." I said, "Well, I didn't do any voice training, but at least I've done his speech." He said, "Whenever I've got a big speech coming up, I'll book you." I did the same thing for the head of risk assessment for the same bank 2 weeks later.
Are you serious?
An hour and a half for him as well. He had a big speech coming up that was really, really urgent. So I thought, good, he'll book me. Neither of them have.
You need to send
That was a
us
year ago.
invoice.
It's too late, it was a year ago. No, I want to book them, mate. I'm not going to upset them, but they might come back to me. I've written to them occasionally.
They're worth upsetting.
No,
They're
that's-
actually taking
no,
the piss,
seriously,
you
and
know.
my
I was
client-
taking the piss,
well,
wasn't it? An hour and a half each of them.
when
I
clients
said, no, I'll have you 6 times a year.
Don't think they didn't
I
know
can't
what they were
afford
doing.
it at the moment because I'm spending so much on the leadership training. The company couldn't
They knew
afford
exactly what they
it.
were
They're on
doing.
$500,000 a year each at least, don't they?
At least, without the bonuses.
Yeah. At least the boss of Mazda, who booked
Oh,
me,
that's really
at least he hasn't
ridiculous.
seen me yet because he's so busy doing other stuff. But they've got the money, but they want the company to pay it.
Yeah.
They won't pay their own money, any of them.
Yeah.
And they've
And you
got
can't
so
say who
much.
they were?
No.
I can imagine which
It's
one
a
it
very
is.
big bank on Canary Wharf which got into a lot of trouble and they had to sack their managing director, put it that way.
Yeah, I know it. I used to work for them.
Oh, did you?
Ah.
It's a big building,
There's
isn't it?
lots of secrets.
37th floor I was on.
But I swore my secret,
Great lift.
secret declaration, so I'll keep to it. I'm
I
a
actually-
person of my
I
word.
turned up a day early.
Did you?
Luckily, I said, because the PA came down and said, what? So it's today, isn't it? No, it's tomorrow. Okay, don't tell him,
Yeah.
don't tell him.
I even met him, you know,
Did you?
2 weeks before.
What, the old one or the new one?
The big
It wasn't
guy,
the old
the
one.
big naughty boy.
Oh, the big naughty
Yeah.
boy. No, it wasn't him, it's the one who took over.
I met him 2 weeks before he was due to go, and I thought, well, I'm glad I met him in
Yeah.
person. He's making it.
Because it's only the one I was working with was the managing director of retail, whereas that one was retail and wholesale.
Yeah.
He's the one they chucked out.
Yeah.
And by God, he got into trouble.
And by God.
So you know exactly who I'm talking about, and which bank. Yeah. Nokia was good to work for though.
Pardon?
Nokia was great to work
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
But I can't tell anyone I've worked for Nokia. I mean, I can tell you like this,
Yeah.
but I can't put it on my website. I was banned from doing it.
Why?
They want to pretend it's all in-house.
Lucky.
Yeah, all their training, they pretend it's all in-house.
Are you serious?
Yep. Pretend it's all in-house.
But why are you being embarrassed?
They don't want to make it look like somebody else has come from the outside.
come and help them.
Same thing happened with Perkins Diesel, which
Yeah.
is one of the biggest diesel companies in the world.
Yeah,
And I gave a training presentation like this for them for an hour.
yeah.
And by the way, they paid me £1,800, Ben, for 1 hour and 2 nights at a very plush hotel up north. I said, can I film it? I said, no. I said, why not? I said, well, we don't want anyone to know. I did a training, after dinner, training presentation for an hour to their top 220 salesmen from all over the world, and I wasn't allowed to take a film of it or tell anyone about it. I said, well, can I put the name of your company on my website? Oh, all right then. That's all I got to do. Couldn't have an audio recording or a film. No.
I'm,
Not even of me. No.
I'm surprised though.
They're really nice
I don't
there.
really have to know.
No, lots of companies do that.
I know some companies that don't do that.
No, I know,
And,
lots don't.
You know, they say credit where credit is due.
Yeah, it's
credit
true.
where
Lots
credit
of companies
is
let
due.
me. And also,
We don't have an
of
issue.
course, the BBC doesn't mind me talking about working for them.
Yeah,
Neither does LBC,
yeah.
neither does Radio 5 Live, and neither does Radio Belfast or Radio Dublin.
The radio.
No, they're fine. They're quite happy for me to put it on my website.
Yeah,
I'm official voice consultant for all those stations. They're quite Radio Liverpool even. They don't mind.
yeah.
And Salford City Radio up in Salford. They're quite happy for me to put it, which is great.
To put you on.
Because it makes me look good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All I'm doing is going on, I go into, like for Radio Scotland, I go into studios in London and they link me up with Scotland. And LBC, most of them are phone-ins. Guess how many gigs I've got from going on the radio about 30 times a year? How many clients I've got from doing that?
3
You
million.
mean one-to-one private sessions?
Yeah, or even seminars. How many do you think?
3,
200?
depends on how often you
In a
work.
year, right?
No, yeah, about 20, 30 times a year.
About 5?
I imagine about
Easter,
300.
Christmas?
0.
Are you
Zero.
sick? You are joking.
Wow.
Why is that?
You don't get clients from going on the radio. And the great
Really?
thing, yeah.
I guess one
You
less
don't.
thing I need to do.
It's mainly TV.
It's great fun to do it. Well, I don't know, I've been on Sky News as well, and that didn't get me anything.
Okay.
And I was doing Kate Middleton's first ever speech on the Adam Bolton show. That's pretty high profile at
That is so
lunchtime.
high.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
And
like
there I was.
global. That's major
Yeah.
global.
And they gave me a copy of the film of it as well, which is nice.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
And the stupid bloke there was a bloke just before me who'd come from the Jewish Chronicle who was talking about some poor Jewish family who had just been killed in a mosque somewhere, not in a mosque, in a synagogue by some
In London?
fanatics, London, yeah. And he wanted his £37 from Sky News. I thought, you fool. The
Well,
BBC pays me, but what? They're not going to have him in again, are they? He charged them money. Hello?
Yeah.
LBC, I go on the Nick, what's his name? Nick Ferrari show in the mornings. And he really boosts me every time. So that was Fergus Mclelland, thevocaltrademark.com. So if you want any training for your voice, go to Fergus. He's definitely the right man. And I'll do a 15-minute spot with him. I had 4 phone calls ever. And that was it. Ever.
So mainly what? You get more referral then?
Yeah. No, all my work is referrals, or when I do things like this. Usually to larger audiences, like 50, 60, 100 people.
Yeah.
Like, did you like my bit last night? So if you know someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone who might want some voice training, send them to me. Because they said we could do a pitch at the end. If you know someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone who actually knows someone who might need some of my training, please send them to me.
We'll exchange business cards then.
What was the point of saying?
I don't even have that.
What was the point of saying that? Going deeper?
Well, no, it's if you just say to a group, let's say I said to you lot, so do any of sorry you lot, that sounds so rude. So do any of you want some training from me? If so, come and let me know. And you think, do I? I might not. But if I say, does anyone here know someone who might need what I'm doing, or even somebody who knows someone?
Do not
Oh
say
yeah,
that
that's
might
true.
be somebody
Could
that
be
you
me,
might
or
know
it could be a friend of mine. Oh, it could be that man up the street. So you open avenues in somebody's head.
Do you know anyone who might like to know about a service like that?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, I do actually. Oh yeah, I wasn't thinking me, I was thinking my auntie Mary, or my friend with a stutter, because I cure stutters like that.
Yeah.
You know, somebody who's got too high a voice, or someone who's got too low a voice. Oh yeah, I can think of that. Yeah, I can do that. I've done it.
Cut off the pressure.
Yeah. Yeah, you take all the barriers away.
Do you do singing as well? Do you coach singing?
I do coach some singers not to lose their voices more than anything else.
Yeah, but not to actually
Not to
sing.
actually sing, no. But not, especially one who's a hard rock singer and kept it.
Joint venture. I could JV with you.
Could you? You sing very nicely,
I
don't
could
you?
JV with you.
Don't tempt me, darling.
We'll exchange
I'd be
cards.
chasing you all over the
We'll
place.
exchange cards.
I've got one.
It's a win-win
No,
situation.
look, I've got
That
to,
is.
I've
It's a
got
definite
to,
win-win situation.
I've got to turn gay before I can work with you.
That's fine, I'll just wait while you do your
I have to look
thing.
at this CV first. Do you know
Okay.
Brian Tracy?
Definitely a win-win
You know the
situation.
American...
Yeah. A friend of mine's just been out with him.
Really?
7,000 quid it cost
Oh,
to be on his show with him. You actually have to pay to be on his show.
And who's
wow. Brian
Brian
Tracy,
Tracy's
the
show.
American...
Really?
Clinton's friends with
You
Brian
have
Tracy.
to pay him.
Clinton's way.
Yeah.
But I've been listening to his audios on
Yeah.
YouTube, and
Yeah.
he says that the people on the BBC read the news, especially on the BBC, they wear tuxedos, so their voice sounds really professional.
Well, they used to. I don't know about now though. That's a long time ago.
Really?
It was back in the days of Lord Reith. They had to. A lot of the time they just wear rubbish clothes now. So, any final questions before I put my coat on?
Could I get
Not
business
going around.
card, please?
I haven't got one, but give me yours and I can call you.
We'll
for
do that at the
details.
end then.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because I direct clients literally to present their messages.
Mhm.
I kind of use some of your tricks as well in terms of, you know,
Mm.
we call it hook rather than headline type
Yeah.
of thing.
Oh yeah, we'll start with it.
Is there any tips perhaps, because I'm kind of thinking how I can expand my directing capability using maybe some of these things.
Use emotive language.
Okay.
Make it cheeky.
Mhm.
If you make it cheeky, people will read it. And find exciting, sexy words that you can use. There are 20 main words, which are the best words for headlines, which are by Ted Nicholas. You know a lot of this stuff, don't you? Ted Nicholas's audios is the 20 top words to use.
Magic words.
The magic words, yeah, and the top one is free, of course. I got someone to do it at the S Group. When he was pitching stuff Erland, Backer, he got 35 people signed up out of 90.
Is that Erland
And he,
Baker?
yeah,
Yeah.
and he made £9,000 that night. Because I wrote his presentation for him, his 1.5 minute presentation. Just shows how powerful a good pitch is.
He earned 9,000 or?
Yep, he did. Didn't give me, well, I was training for a day, so he did pay me anyway. There we are, that's me finished, everybody. Hope you enjoyed.
That's good value, yeah.
Yeah, guys, if we all give Fergus a big, proper round of applause.
Keep it going.
Smile.
Yeah.
Smile for the camera.
That is almost it, coming towards the end of the GTeX night. First of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here, So give a round of applause for yourself as well.